Certainly, the moments in chaos that unfolded yesterday inside Lakewood Church will have a lasting impact on those who were there at that place of worship. Joining me this morning is Dr. Julie Kaplow, Executive Director of the Trauma and Grief Center at Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. Dr. Kaplow, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning and talking with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. Too often we only talk during these moments of trauma. But I want to start by asking you, for those of us watching from afar, this trauma has a profound impact. But when you consider and think about the people who were there, the people who witnessed this shooting, the people who survived this shooting, they also are impacted in a big way.
Absolutely. And we find that the closer the proximity is to the event, the more likely it is that someone will develop post-traumatic stress. So for those who either witnessed the incident or were there, or even were close to one of the people who were affected, those are the people who we know are probably most at risk.
So I want to ask you, how do we talk to people, including children, about these types of incidents and what happened at Lakewood Church?
You know, with children, it is particularly difficult because as adults, we always want to shield kids from bad news. We want to protect them, but inevitably they're going to hear about this shooting. And so what we want to do is ensure that they're hearing about it from the right people, from their caregivers, their parents, and people who can use their language, who can meet kids where they are. So one of the tips that we often give parents is to use simple and straightforward language, thinking about the developmental stage or the age of the child, and really allowing the child to guide the conversation. So for example, they might say something like, you might have heard what happened at the church. We're all very upset about that. Do you have any questions for me? Or what worries or concerns do you have for me? And really let the child guide that conversation.
Let them be in control of the dialogue and how that looks and how that moves. I know, in the days to come, we of course will be following up on the investigation. We are already seeing investigators at a home in Conroe, and so I wanted to go to Kathy before I went to you to find out a little more information. But we saw through Kathy's live shot a home that looks like a typical home where any normal family lives. We saw decorations outside, and for people who are just waking up and seeing the developments in this story, the updates to this story, seeing the home for the first time and investigators narrowing in on that space. How does that conversation look? It's no longer about the church where the shooting happened, but now they're in your community. Investigators are there in your community investigating, looking into a specific home, a specific family. Does the conversation look a little differently with this update?
Absolutely. I think the more that people can sort of relate to the setting or the scenario or even the home that the person lived in, the more real it becomes, the closer to home, so to speak, it becomes. And I think this is also where we really want to hone in on how to support children around this. So one of the things we talk about is establishing that sense of safety and security. So in other words, helping to reassure children that the adults in their lives are there to take care of them and protect them. There is such thing as adult worries, which is how to keep our kids safe. And then there are kid worries, which is really more about doing your homework and what are you going to have for breakfast. And so kind of taking the burden off of the child and really, again, reinforcing that there are helpers. There are people out there that are really there to protect them.
Okay, all good information. Dr. Kaplow, as always, thank you so much for chatting with us. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.